The Sorcerer is back and better than ever. This class is the absolute master of all the elements and so many different available builds that you could possibly work through and try out. The animations are incredible and she really does pack a punch. Not to even over-exaggerate how good she is, I went through the first 25 levels quicker than the other two classes by a landslide. I never died, the build was safe, I had no issues with mana, and my god did it pump. So if you guys really want to play this class, you will not regret trying this build. It's powered me through to level 25 and I didn't even get scratched. So make sure that you try this one out on the open beta if you haven't already. But let's get into the video and I'll discuss the build as we level up. Hey everybody, Defender here and welcome to another Diablo video. Today we're going to be covering a Sorcerer leveling guide from 1 to 25, power leveling as quick as possible, as safely as possible, and without it being too advanced. This is a really easy build that anyone can do. It is super safe, super big, and you will never ever struggle in any of the content in the beta, even on the veteran difficulty. So obviously Sorcerer is a very hard-hitting magic user, but very susceptible to damage, very easily killed if you're not careful, and doesn't necessarily have the most defensive options available. So you have to play smart as opposed to fast and hard. But the options in the skill tree are incredible, and you will soon see that there is potential to play however you want to play with the Sorcerer. So I'm going to go through a fire build, if you will, a Hydra, a kind of pet build that got me through Pyromancer all the way through to 25 very quickly, and I'll go through step by step, point by point, how I did it, and I'll show you just how easy it is. Starting off from the very beginning then is we're going to go with one of two options. You could either go for Firebolt or you could go for Frostbolt, okay? So it's up to you which one you want to do. Obviously, Firebolt burns, does more damage. Frostbolt helps us by slowing the enemy, so that can be really helpful. Okay, so I decided to go for Frostbolt out of these two options, in my opinion. You could even go for one of these other ones. All will work fine, but I went for Frostbolt because of the option for more utility, right? So you can CC, you can chill the enemy and slow them down, and also, as you see in a minute, we'll be able to get mana back from casting these when they're chilled or frozen from repetitive hits. So we put a point into Frostbolt. Okay, we need one more to unlock the next tier, and we're going to go for Enhanced Frostbolt. Okay, so chance to explode and chance to increase against frozen enemies. So then we're going to choose our next one, this is the big one here. This is our spender. This is where we do our most of our damage for the majority of our leveling. And we're going to go for Fireball. Fireball here does big damage. Okay, so it's going to do explosive AoE damage as well as decent single target damage out of all the options that you could choose. So we're going to go for 1 point in Fireball. And then the next thing we're going to do is we'll enhance the Fireball. Okay, and we still need 2 more points, so we're going to go to Greater Fireball. Okay, and what that does is it adds extra burn damage on top of the already extra damage. And as you can see, this is really useful because we're going to be playing ranged as best as possible. Okay, so we do more damage and it burns the further away we are. Okay, so what that's going to do then is that it's going to leave us with 1 more point before we open the next skill, and we're going to go back to our Frost Bolt, and we're going to put an extra point in to get that mana back that we talked about earlier, as that will help us with the build to sustain. And then we open up the defensive skills, and this is really where we need something to help us survive and have some utility maneuverability in the harder content. And you can ignore all these extra points that are in right now because these are from gear, so none of them are actually applied, if you will. So the first point we're going to take is Teleport. Now this is similar to the Dash with the Rogue, the Leap, the Barbarian. It just basically lets us keep ourselves safe from melee or any mechanics that pop up or explosions, ice, whatever you want to say. It will help us massively survive. Okay, but we still need to put some more points in other defensive stuff just to help us to survive. So we're going to go for Frost Nova, and what this does is this is kind of your get out of jail free card. When you get jumped by enemies and you don't have your teleport ready, you can kind of smash the ground and release kind of an ice torrent that freezes enemies. And it's great to use offensively as well as defensively if you get used to how it works. And then I would either go for next either Flame Shield, okay, which can be really useful, or ice armor, okay, and they both have their benefits to them. But personally, I feel like in the leveling process at least, Ice Armor pays off better because of the options that we can take, and I'll explain now why. So when you enhance it, you get a higher mana regeneration. So you don't even need to use it in a situation where you're taking damage. You just activate this before you get into a fight, and as you're casting, it's just going to keep your mana regenerating better whilst you're staying at the back of a fight, casting your fireballs. So similar to the Frostbolt, we're using as much as we can to help us get our mana back as we play. And then we still need one more point to get into the next tier. And in my opinion, similar to the Barbarian and the Rogue builds, we want to go back and put points into Fireball every time we need more points to unlock a tier. Okay, so now that we've unlocked the conjuration ones, these are kind of where you can either get into a pet build or an AoE build. Okay, and in my opinion, with this build, we went for Hydra. Hydra seems to be one of the most overpowered options in the game at the moment for Sorcerer. It can play heavily from distance. You can even line of sight everything and cast it over a wall or across a map, across a gap in a canyon. It's very, very cheap for mana to activate. And you can just keep summoning it over and over again without cooldown. If you think it's going to expire, you put up another one, or if you need to reposition it, you put up another one. It's extremely valuable and one of the best things you can get as a sorcerer, and you will see a huge power spike as soon as you unlock this. It is a must, and I believe that's around level 12 or 13 this is that you would get these points to unlock it. So as soon as you can, the Hydra is a must. And then you want to enhance it as well, so that the Hydra gets an extra head, and it becomes a 4-headed Hydra, so you do an extra 33% of your damage on top, than before, so it's a must. And then out of these two, you want to go into Summoned Hydra, okay? So it adds a burn in as well on top of the Firebolt burn, so it's adding in extra damage over time, so even after they disappear, the damage they've done will still burn the enemies. Okay, and we still need 2 more points in to get to the next tier. And instead of going for Fireball here, because Hydra becomes our big power spike of damage, we're going to go more points into Hydra, and you can see how much it changes. So it's a huge damage spike. And we've opened up the next tier, which is the Mastery tier. Okay, and this is where you basically want to pick an element that has a chance of happening for you to help you passively. And what you're going to do is you're going to drag that to the enchantment slot, and you'll see you have a 3% chance for a meteor to fall on enemies, and that is huge. So make sure that you remember to drag that over, because it will do a huge amount of damage. And we're not necessarily interested in casting it ourselves, we're more interested in using our mana for Fireball and Hydra. We just want it for the enchantment, so we're just going to put 1 point into it, and then we're going to enhance it even further. Okay, so we're going to put 1 point into Meteor, 1 point into Enhanced Meteor, and then 1 point into Wizards. Okay, so that has a chance to stun them for 2 seconds, which is huge. And then we still need 4 more points. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put the points back into Hydra. Okay, so what that does is it allows us to try and maximize Hydra as best as possible. As you can see, when it's maxed out, it does a ridiculous amount of damage. And we still need 2 more points to maximize into the next tier. So as before with Whirlwind and on the Barbarian, and with Barrage on the Rogue, we want to max out points into our Fireball as best as possible. And in my opinion, with the extra Renown points, it is worth going for Glass Cannon. This is obviously a quality of life thing. As you feel more comfortable, you're not going to have these points until you're level 25 anyway, so you're going to be maxed out with everything else. You're not going to be picking up something from the ultimates, you're just going to be going for full damage and playing around distance and with your defensive skills. So we're going to keep Teleport, we're going to keep our Ice Armor, so we have higher regen, and we're going to play Distance, okay? And we're saving our Teleport for situations where we are in a pinch and we don't have another option. And there we have it, everybody. That is the full Sorcerer leveling guide. Make sure that you play around with the build if you wanted to try a different, maybe the different basic skill or a different core skill. But generally speaking, the Fireball is extremely, extremely strong, And the Frostbolt is great for mana generation, but also Firebolt is, if you want to do a burning build, you could just change that to the Firebolt and still run the Hydra, and then do some extra burning damage later on in the masteries, and still run kind of your generic enhancement with the Meteor. That's also good, but Firewall is also okay if you wanted to run that instead. But yeah, that is the build. That is the point order, in my opinion. And then you could take away Frost Nova if you wanted to enhance Meteor more and put it on your bar. But that is up to you. The teleport is definitely a mandatory thing for your safety, but everything else is extremely strong and extremely viable. And if you're lucky enough, you can even get an extra summon up Hydra from a legendary imprint. So keep an eye out for that along the way. Let me know what you guys think about this build. If you try it out, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Is it the build you're expecting? Is it something else you've been using? This should be, fingers crossed, a very easy experience for you. The quickest for me out of all three classes, deathless, not even close on any of the encounters. All the bosses were relatively easy, and yeah, it just clears packs of monsters like nothing. So try it out. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I'm putting up as much Diablo 4 and Lost Ark content as I can at the moment, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.